Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yesterday we have seen what is DevOps. Okay, we started with Azure DevOps. In that we have seen what is DevOps.
Mhm.
I think we have seen very much detail what is DevOps, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is Azure DevOps? I'll provide you some theory in, you can say, PowerPoint and all. You can just go through that theory. I'll explain all this. What is this? Okay. But just go through that theory afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
So Azure DevOps is a, so there are three types of services we have seen, like IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service, then PaaS,
AAS,
and then
LAS.
SaaS. Yes, software as a service.
Yeah.
So Azure DevOps is a software as a service offering from Azure. Software as a service. Now, why software as a service? Because for everything, for each and everything, Azure is having a tool, their own tool. Okay. And they are providing it as ready to go. So Azure provides ready to go tools for DevOps implementation. So this is a software as a service kind of offering from Azure and provides number of tools for DevOps integration. So Azure DevOps is a software as a service platform from Microsoft that provides an end-to-end DevOps tool chain for developing and deploying software. It also integrates with most leading tools in the market and is excellent option for orchestrating a DevOps tools chain. Right? So what you can do, you can also integrate Azure DevOps with enterprise tools. You know what are enterprise tools, right?
Google, Amazon.
Yeah,
right?
Enterprise tools means which are having their own offering. Like say some tool is there, they are offering their own tool. It's not acquired by some big company like Microsoft or something else. Like they have their own, right?
Yeah.
So you can integrate with DevOps, Azure DevOps. You integrate Azure DevOps with enterprise tools. Like in Azure DevOps, they have their own like Azure boards, for example, where you log the tickets, log the task, and all those things, and you keep on what I can say. You can keep on look. You can keep a look over the progress of the task in Azure boards. You can create task and all. So that is the kind of like you can have. You can maintain the project over there. But if you don't want this service from Azure, then also you can integrate Jira. You know what is Jira, right? Ticketing tool.
Ticketing tool, yeah.
And you can track the progress of your project in Jira also. So what you can do now, Jira is an enterprise tool, so you can integrate Jira with Azure DevOps. Okay. So you can perform like those kind of operations with Azure DevOps. So it's not like that you have to use only Azure DevOps tools. You can also integrate enterprise tools with the DevOps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does Azure DevOps provide? So Azure DevOps include a range of services covering the complete development life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say complete development life cycle, so first of all, for
For project initiations, for example, like that. For project initiation is one part.
Yeah. So Azure boards
Board.
are there. First Azure boards. Okay. Now you can log the task and all over here. Log the task and monitor the progress of the project. Log the task and monitor the progress of the project. Then you have Azure pipelines. So Azure pipelines, I told you yesterday, there are two types, like build pipelines and release pipelines. So Azure pipelines are for CI/CD, simple, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Then comes Azure repos. Azure repos is nothing but the implementation of Git in Azure. Implementation of Git in Azure means it is a code repository. Then what you have? Artifacts, Azure artifacts. So whenever you build your project, you get some output out of it. So you cannot directly deploy the code into any server or anywhere, right? You have to create some artifact. You have to bundle all those things with some dependencies and all, right? Then only your code will work. You cannot directly implement the code. So Azure artifacts. So you can store, after your build, you can have the artifacts. You can store the artifacts in Azure pipelines as well. You can store the artifact in some external storage also, like file store. So Azure artifacts, simply say result of the build process. So Azure boards are there, Azure pipelines, Azure repos, Azure artifacts, all those things. Okay. Test plan is also there, provides an integrated planned exploratory testing solution. So there is Azure test plan also. Also, you can use Azure DevOps to orchestrate third-party tools. I told that you can integrate third-party tools. Now, what if you don't have a .NET organization? Your project is not in .NET. Someone was asking yesterday if not .NET, if some other. So Azure DevOps is not focused on organizations that are end-to-end Microsoft or Windows. Azure DevOps provides a platform that is flexible. Means you do not have to go all in on Azure DevOps. It is possible to adopt each of services independently and integrate them with your existing tool chain. Means you can follow each of the steps and you can integrate each of the steps independently with existing tool chain also, or most popular tools which are supported. So it's flexible. Azure DevOps is flexible. Second thing, cross-platform. So if we talk about Azure DevOps, this is flexible. Flexible means you can integrate it with any other tools also. You can use inline tools also, you can integrate with other tools also. That is flexible. Second is cross-platform. So can be on Windows also. You can develop your solutions using Windows also. You can have Linux also. Only two platforms I know. Okay, Windows and Linux. Cross-platform. So Azure DevOps is flexible. Also, it is cross-platform. Cross-platform designed to work with any platform, Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, or language. Now you can see Node.js is there, Python is there, Java is there, PHP is there, Ruby, C, C++, .NET, Android and iOS apps. All the things, okay, all the language it supports. Azure DevOps is not aimed at organization building and shipping on the Microsoft technology stack. Cloud agnostic, continuous delivery is supported to AWS, GCP, and Azure. See, you can use this platform for development in AWS also. You can use AWS services. You can integrate AWS with Azure DevOps portal. And you can deploy your service in AWS also. That's why they said cross-platform. Okay. Now, GitHub. So here in this course, they have directly started with the GitHub. But what I'll do, I'll start with basic, very basic. So very basic is platform. You should know the platform first, because I know many of you guys don't know Linux, how to work in Linux, right? Windows, you know. Yeah, Windows, you know how to work. But many of you guys don't know how to work in Linux, right or wrong?
Yes.
Very true.
Yeah. So I'll start with basic, because now we are just seeing all the theory here. But when we start, we'll start with basic. Okay. Linux first, then GitHub, GitHub, Azure repo, like that we'll go. Okay. I'll provide you whole what we'll go through one by one. I'll provide you that by today. So as of now, Linux we know, Windows we know, that those are platforms. Okay. Now what is GitHub? GitHub is a software as a service. This is also software as a service platform. Okay. So first thing is platform, which is Windows and Linux. Second is GitHub. Okay. Now, GitHub is also software as a service offering. GitHub is from Microsoft only. Okay. So GitHub is software as a service offering. Now GitHub is also a code repository. What kind of? I told you what kind of? There were two types of code repositories. What kind is GitHub?
Public.
Distributed.
Distributed.
Yes. Because each and everyone can have a copy of the GitHub in their own local system. It is not like that you are having only a central repository or central repository server. So if anything happens to the central repository, still each one of you will be having a GitHub in their local GitHub local repository, where a copy of GitHub will be running in your local repository. So you can retrieve everything from your local. If you can say like your work will not be disturbed. Means if there is no connectivity to the remote server, you can still work on GitHub because it's in your local. In distributed, it's only one time you need a connectivity when you want to push something to the GitHub. Okay. So this is distributed kind of repository. So GitHub is a software as a service platform from Microsoft that provides Git-based repositories and DevOps tooling for developing and deploying the software. It is a wide range of integration with other leading tools. GitHub is like, you can say, it can integrate with a wide range of tools. Anywhere it can integrate. Also, it can integrate with different cloud technologies. AWS also they use GitHub. In GCP also they use GitHub. In Azure also they use GitHub. Everywhere they use GitHub. Okay. Most popular version control system tool. Most popular. What does? There were others also. So any other name, if you know?
Bitbucket.
Yes. Other, you can say VCS, version control system tools.
TFS.
So there is SVN,
SVN, yeah.
right? Bitbucket,
TFS, GitLab.
GitLab, yes. TFVS, Team Foundation.
No, it's TFS, Team Foundation Server.
TFS only or
TFS.
TFVS? Okay.
TFS, yeah.
Okay. TFS. So SVN, Bitbucket, TFS, GitLab. So if you have worked in GitHub, then it's easy to work in GitLab. Very much similar, nothing difference. Okay. So like I'll tell you how to push the code into the GitHub, how to fetch the code from GitHub, how to deploy some application using a code from the GitHub. So once I tell you this from the GitHub, you can perform some homework, like you can go and create one account in the GitLab, push the code in the GitLab and deploy an application from there. Very much similar to GitHub. Okay. So it's not like that. Only platform is different. Working is same. There is one difference, like SVN is, you can say it's a centralized one. It's not distributed. Okay. SVN is sent. So GitHub, why it is used worldwide? Because it's a distributed kind of repository. Now, what does GitHub provide? So code spaces. Provides a cloud-hosted development environment based on Visual Studio Code. Now, you can access Visual Studio Code, this GitHub from anywhere. So directly, it integrates with the development environment. Like if you open this Visual Studio Code, so you will be having extensions, right? So if I go with this extensions here, search for, see, .NET runtime environment, C hash, Docker is there. You can install containers and all, everything. Kubernetes you can install. Okay. So we're searching. See, so many extensions with the Git bash. So it is a command line tool offered by Git bash. GitHub Copilot, GitHub. There are many GitHub pull request. There are many integrations of Git you can have with Visual Studio Code. Okay, like this. Based on Visual Studio Code that can be operated from within a browser or external tools. Eases cross-platform development. So Visual Studio Code, like this is code spaces only, like example from the code spaces. So repos, public and private repositories based upon industry standard Git commands. Now you can have repositories public also and private also. Public open to everyone. Public open to everyone. Like I told you here, if you have .NET Hello World project, GitHub. Very first link will come. Simple Hello World project. Now this is a public repository because I can access it, you can access it, everyone can access it. Pull request you can have. See what are the options here. Like here there is a code. Okay, this is the branch. This is the master branch. You can create branches. Okay, you can create branches. Then issues. There aren't any issues as of now. So you can raise the issues here. Like if you are working with the code and there are any issues, you can raise the issues over here. You can create a new issue and team will work on that. Okay. Pull request. So you can create a pull request and you can have a reviewer of that. So someone can review that pull request. So if there's a testing team and testing team wants to uh, test something, so they will need to pull the code, right? They will create some pull request. So you can have a reviewer from the development team. Okay, someone from the testing team is wanting to pull this. You can approve that pull request, or some team lead can do that, right? Pull request. Then there is a new thing like GitHub Actions. Now, GitHub Actions is like new, and earlier it was not there. Now, using GitHub Actions, you can perform so many operations directly from the GitHub. You can write a pipeline file, YAML file directly here. And directly from here, GitHub Actions, you can trigger it, you can run it. So first of the thing, it can support Linux, Mac OS, Windows, ARM, containers, everything. Any language it supports. GitHub Actions, Node.js, Python, Java, Ruby, PHP. Built-in secret store. You can store the secrets, whatever the secrets you use, you can store up here. Then multi-container testing. So many things GitHub is providing to you using GitHub Actions. We'll see how to develop something using GitHub Actions. Okay, this is
So secret
very
means
much important nowadays. Okay, pardon?
the secret means the token, etc. Is it?
Secret means any secret or token you are having, or you are say it's not good practice to keep the secret inside the code, right?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So automate your workflow from idea to production using GitHub Actions. So this is very much like many companies are asking now, do you know how to implement using GitHub Actions? Then projects, as of now, no open projects. So you can create a project, you can sign in with your repo, and you can have the different projects. Forward the transfer. Let it be. I'll show you sometime. I have so many projects in my GitHub. I forgot the password.
If you can sign in with passkey, you'll send the passkey on email or mobile, whoever should be.
For this, I think we have to set something, authenticator or something.
Right.
Yeah. Wait, just 1 minute. Let me reset this. So you can have like there's a this repositories are there, then organization. So I click here. See, see, these many applications are there. These are just those all apps are like for practicing and all purpose only. Okay.
These all
Seven.
are related to Azure only, sir.
No, 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 no. In you can have like with you can have enterprise applications also. You can use.
No, no, I'm asking, your projects are all based on Azure only, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, not on
Yeah.
Azure. First, I have uh, like created all these projects and I've run on enterprise tools only. Like I've created one virtual machine, then I've installed Jenkins over there, then installed GitHub over there, all enterprise tools. Okay. Then I've
But
tested these things with enterprise tools, and later on I've tested with Azure.
mhm.
Okay. So all these kinds of applications. So I got these applications from internet only, but what I did, I you can say I changed the code and all according to me, and then I just have it all this like Matrix server is there. Okay, so Matrix server is nothing but you can say you can have a code over here. Okay, like this. So if you run this Matrix server somewhere inside some VM, what will happen? It will record all the metrics from that server. Either you can run this in a Linux machine. In this is nothing, just a shell script. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so you can run this all things. So it's like that. Okay, so repos actions allow for the creation of automation workflows. So any kind of automation workflows can be performed from GitHub Actions. These workflows can include environment variables and customized scripts. Packages, the majority of the world's open source projects are already contained in GitHub. Okay. The majority of the world's open source projects. Open source, like I created some project. Now that is a public repository. Anyone can come and use that, my repository. Okay. So I have not created any private. Anyone can use it. So majority of the world's open source projects are already contained in the GitHub repositories. GitHub makes it easy to integrate with this code and with other third-party offerings. Security provides detailed code scanning and review features. So you can have a code review with this GitHub, that whether your code is according to standards or not. Okay, you can have an automated code review also. You can integrate some code reviewer tool also, like SonarQube. SonarQube is a tool which is used for code review, code checking tool or code review tool it is. Explore an authorization and access strategy. Okay, now there are types of authorization strategies in Azure DevOps. So it can be a Microsoft account authentication, it can be a GitHub account authentication, it can be a Azure Active Directory type of authentication. Tools like Visual Studio and Azure DevOps natively support the use of Microsoft accounts in the Active Directory. So in Visual Studio or VS Code, it can support Microsoft account and Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. Eclipse can also support this from authentication if you install a Team Explorer Everywhere plugin. Now, if you want to use Eclipse also, some people use Eclipse. So Eclipse is you can say they're using from way back. So Eclipse also it supports. Now, what is personal access token? Use personal access token for tools that don't directly support Microsoft account. So if any tool which is not supporting Microsoft account or Microsoft AD, then you can use a personal access token for that. You can use it if you want them to integrate with Azure DevOps. Personal access token. Okay. We'll see in Azure DevOps how to use a personal access token. Okay. So for example, Git-based repositories are there, NuGet packages are there, Xcode. These tokens can be set up using Git credential managers, or you can create them manually. Personal access tokens are also helpful when establishing access to command line tools, external tools, and tasks in the build pipelines. So if I want something not to be run without a personal access token, means if I want you that you should run a build pipeline, you should provide personal access token. Then only I'll access you to run that build pipeline. Like this. Also, when calling REST APIs, you don't have a UI popping out, do not have authentication. When access is no longer required, you can revoke personal access token. So personal access token can be given for a specific period of time. Like you can have a personal access token for 90 days. You can have a personal access token for 180 days. You can set like this. So when you go to the Azure, we'll see in the Azure organization when we'll go in Azure DevOps, how to set a personal access token, for how many days you can set up, all those things. The minimum of, I think, 90 days and maximum of 1 year you can set a personal access token. Security groups, multi-factor authentication. You can have multi-factor authentication. You know what is multi-factor authentication. Okay. Conditional access. So you can have a conditional access policy also, that person should have this to get access to the tool, GitHub, right? So, or in Microsoft organization. So conditional access. As part of conditional access, say you should provide a location or a network identity, a specific operating system. I may give a conditional access to any specific operating system only, a managed device or other criteria. Okay. So I can give conditional access to my laptop only, because my laptop is having a IP, it is having a network identity. So whosoever will come from my laptop will only be able to log in. Conditional access, right? So then migrate or integrate existing work management tools. Now for workloads, so you need to track the workload. So you can track using Azure boards also, but you can integrate some other management tools also. Like these are management tools. For example, Jira is there. Jira you can integrate with Azure DevOps. So Jira is commonly used for work management tool, similarly to Azure boards. So if you talk about work management tools, so Jira is there. You can integrate Jira with Azure DevOps. And in Azure, we have Azure boards. In the Visual Studio Marketplace, Solidify offers a tool for Jira to Azure DevOps integration. Now, you can have this link to
Sir, I
see.
have one question
Mhm.
related to Jira. So, in case we are using the project, the platform is being used as Azure, and we have Azure board already for ticketing tool. Then, what is the need of Jira again?
So it depends on organization to organization. Like in my last organization, we were using Azure DevOps. Okay, for like there were multiple projects. I told you what projects I was working upon, like that fueling solution, Hydra solution, and all. Right. So there they don't use Azure boards. There they used to have Jira because they think like the Jira is more efficient than Azure boards.
Okay.
Okay, but it's not like that. But yes, sometimes what happens, some of the functionality someone may like from Jira, someone may like from Azure board. It's like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's person to person, depends on organization to organization.
Got
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. So see, migrate your project from Jira to
Yeah,
Azure
Abhishek.
DevOps.
Yeah,
Pardon?
one thing. Yeah, so instead means the Azure board, right? So instead of that, if we are using some other board, so
Mhm.
in that case, like we don't have to pay for Azure board.
Yeah. Whatever you will use, you will pay for it. Its
Okay,
name is pay as you go model. Okay. So
okay,
whatever
okay.
you use, you will pay for that. So you can have migrations also. You can integrate also and migrate also. Okay. So like how to migrate a project, there's a link like how to migrate a project from Jira to Azure DevOps like this. So you can see, check that link. Migrate your project from Jira to Azure DevOps. They will provide you all the support and all commands and all how to get. Other applications apart from Jira, AHA, Bugzilla, ClearQuest, and others to Azure DevOps. So you can integrate these things. AHA also, Bugzilla also, ClearQuest also. Migrate or integrate existing tools. Azure test plans track manual testing for sprints and milestones. Now you work with agile workflow or agile methodology. Now to track the sprint and all, you can Azure is also having something for you. That is Azure test plans. You can use Azure test plan to track manual testing for sprints and milestone, allowing you to follow when that testing is complete. So Azure test plan is there. Then Azure DevOps also has a test feedback extension available in the Visual Studio Marketplace. The extension is used to help teams to exploratory testing and provide the feedback. Okay. So as of now, you may not understand these things, but yeah, as we work, like perform labs and all, you may. Allow team members and other stakeholders can use the extension to submit bugs or provide feedback. Who will be the workers? Mostly like developers are there, product owners are there, managers, UI UX engineers, designers, marketing teams, early adopters. Okay. For load test, you can use Azure load testing. So there is one more tool for load testing, Azure load testing. So you can see like this, how to use Azure load testing. What is Azure load testing? Okay. So you can have this Azure load testing.
Abhishek, will you, teach this in brief? This is only an overview, right? Again, you'll go to each individual topic, right?
This we will see, but in lab. Okay. As
Okay.
of now, I'm just giving. Yesterday, I've given all the overview for DevOps.
Right, right. Yeah.
Now today we are giving. I'm giving an overview for Azure DevOps.
Okay.
Okay. So be patient. We'll see that. No
No,
worries.
just I was asking, and integration of that Jira, all those things also, right? In lab.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll explain you. I'll provide you the links as well if there are some more things, whatever. So you can like when you are working at your home or you are doing your homework and all for these things, you
Okay.
can test most of the things over there. I can provide you links also. Okay,
Okay.
follow the
Yeah.
links and perform it. If
Yeah.
anything,
Okay, sure. Thank you.
okay. Other helpful testing tools, Apache JMeter is an open source software written in Java and designed to load test. So JMeter is also used for load test. Okay.
Most
So
common.
yeah, you can see here, there you have used a JMeter here for load testing. Pester is a tool that can automate the testing of PowerShell code. So if there is any PowerShell code in your workflow, so for testing a PowerShell code, there's a Pester tool. You can integrate it. SOAP UI is another testing framework for SOAP and REST testing. Now, if you have an API, then you can use SOAP UI to test for the testing the REST method. If you are using Microsoft Test Manager, you should plan to migrate to Azure Test Plans. So if you are using Microsoft, then Azure Test Plan is best instead of all these things. Okay. For more information, search for the test management as Visual Studio Marketplace. We'll see all these things. Design a license management now. For developing something in Azure DevOps, you must need a license. So you should follow this license management strategy. So when designing a license management strategy, you first need to understand your progress in the DevOps implementation phase. If you have a draft of any architecture, means you have any plan of some architecture. So to implement that architecture, you are planning for DevOps implementation, you already know part of the resources to consume. Means if you have any planning, if you have any architecture, if you drafted any architecture, you should have already known by then that what resources will be there you will be consuming while implementing that architecture. For example, you started with a version control implementing Git and created some pipelines to build and release your code. So if you have multiple teams building their solution, multiple teams means many teams. So say Rohit and Pankaj constitute one team. Then again Jitendra and Siva is having one team. Like this, multiple teams are working. You don't want to wait in the queue to start building yours. Okay. Probably you want to pay for parallel jobs. So if you are running single workload, single team is working, then it is okay. But if you want to work on projects parallelly, then you have to pay. Okay, so you can have that kind of license with you then. Okay, so license management, probably you want to pay for parallel jobs and make your builds run in parallel without depending on the queue availability. Now what happens when you run the workloads one by one? So what happens if you, so if say one, now here workloads are running using a pipeline. So what will happen if you have that kind of license, Visual Studio or something, like not that premium license or what? Okay, so what you have, if you run one pipeline, workloads are running using a pipeline, then you have to wait. Like if you have that standard kind of license and all, okay, then you have to wait. So if one pipeline is running, then you have to wait for your workload to run. Okay, it will queue up. So once the pipeline is finished, then it will take other one. Like this, you have to wait. But if you don't want this, you can always have a different license for that. So there are different licenses we'll be seeing. Okay, what phase you are in, how many people are using the feature, it depends. Okay, you have to consider these things. How long you are willing to wait if in the queue for pipelines. In this, is this urgent? Is this a validation only? Okay, should all users access all features? Okay, are they stakeholders, basic users? So whatever is a kind of user, according to that you can have a licensing strategy or licensing management. Do they already have a Visual Studio license? Now if each one is having a Visual Studio license, okay, Visual Studio license is just nothing like earlier you were running a free trial over there, right, in Azure portal. So what happens, like in my organization, I am having Azure portal. Now by default, my organization has taken that license that every month at like 7th of every month. At 7th of every month, I get $1, this $148 in my account, in my Azure account every month. And this is my Visual Studio, or sorry, yeah, VSDN subscription. VSDN subscription. Okay, now with the VSDN subscription, I can use Azure portal also. Within this $148, I can use Azure DevOps also. Okay, and everyone who is working with me is having same kind of thing. Okay, every month they have a $148 of credit, free credit, and they are having one subscription called the VSDN subscription. Okay, so everyone is having a Visual Studio license or not? Okay, do they already have a Visual Studio license or they need to? Okay, do you have an advanced package management strategy? Maybe you need more spaces for the artifact. Now when you build something, you will need some space for the artifacts as well. So for that purpose, do you have an advanced package management strategy? Package management means keeping the artifacts, managing the versioning of the artifact, where you will manage. Do you have any strategy for that? All these things needs to be considered for having a license strategy. Okay, for the latest, most up-to-date Azure DevOps pricing information, you can have this. So Azure DevOps is also having a pricing. So you can go here. You can have pricing from Azure DevOps. See, pricing for Azure DevOps services. Okay. currency, you can have any of it. Okay. Now, individual services, Azure pipelines can start as free. Azure Artifacts free. Okay. One free Microsoft hosted CI/CD pipeline, one free self-hosted CI/CD pipeline. You can use two as a free. Okay. Azure Artifacts 2 GB free means 2 GB of artifacts you can store in Azure as an Azure artifact. Okay. Then starting at $2 per GB. So you can store the artifacts. So Microsoft hosted free, first 2 GB free, no charge, 0 per month. Okay. Self-hosted, one is free, only one. Okay. This is the rate card. One free parallel job with unlimited minutes. Now comes here, user licenses. Basic plan. In the basic plan, I can have first 5 users free. First 5 users are free. Then $6 per user per month in a basic plan. So you can start with that Azure pipeline, include the free others from individual services, Azure boards, work item tracking and Kanban boards you will get, okay, in Azure boards. Azure repos, unlimited private Git repos. You can have unlimited private repos, Git repos. Azure artifacts, 2 GB free per organization. So first 5 users in a basic plan, okay. Then later on, $6 per user per month. Then here is a basic plus test plan. Now you want a test plan also with that. Okay. So $52 per user per month. And this comes with a 30 days free trial. You can have 30 days free trial for this. So including all basic plan feature, test planning, tracking, execution, browser-based test with annotation, rich client test execution, user acceptance testing also, centralized reporting also, everything. It will come up with everything, but $52 per month per user. Okay, these are licenses. Okay, Azure DevOps.
$52 per month.
Yes, that is basic plan plus test plan, both included. Still, they are giving you a 30 days trial. After that, they will charge you. Okay, so that you can use and you can review all the services and then you can go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Azure DevOps services. Now Azure DevOps server. So you can have a server licensing also. Azure DevOps Server 2022. With Azure DevOps Server, you can either pay month to month through Azure, or you can buy classic software licenses which require a 3-year commitment. So there are two types of licensing. You can pay month to month also, and you can opt for classic licensing also. Okay. So that is a 3-year commitment. Now, if you buy from Azure, they will give you some bonus. Okay. Some for 3-year commitment, they will definitely give you some bonus. All these things, pricing and all, you can have from here, this link. For the latest, most up-to-date GitHub pricing, see, you can see GitHub pricing also. So get complete developer platform.
Hello. Yeah,
Hello.
Abhishek.
Yes.
Yeah. So just we saw that that Azure DevOps services and server, right? So what will be like basic difference when we are saying services? So we need to
wait. So I told you yesterday that if you run a pipeline, you should need a compute resource for that. So where you will run? So you can choose either a Azure pipeline agent or either you can use your own agent, right? So definitely some server will be needing to run the workloads, right? So
Okay. VM.
Azure will take care of that if you don't want to have your own server to run the pipelines and all other workloads. So for that purpose, you need to choose a server license also, if you want to do that.
Okay, so in order to run our agent, like whether we select Azure agent or Azure or that VM one, right? Self-created agent. So in that
Yes.
case, we need the server.
Yes.
Okay.
So free, the basic for individuals and organization. Okay. So there's a free plan. You can create organization. You can have public repositories. You can have unlimited private repositories in GitHub. Then automatic security and version update. You can have 2000 CI/CD minutes per month, 500 MB of package storage, new issues and projects. Community support also you will get. Okay. This is free for individuals. Then most popular is this one, advanced collaboration for individuals and organizations. Now you are coming with a team, you can continue here. This is the most popular one as of now, and this is enterprise one. Okay, so what we are having as of now is the enterprise one in our organization. Okay, most of organizations do have the enterprise one only. Okay, because the offerings are more there. They have a premium support. Here you will get a web-based support. Means premium support means you can call also. Web-based support, you have to send an email. Then they will connect you. They will diagnose all the issues if there are any issues. Okay. So premium support is here. GitHub Advanced Security is also here. 50 GB of package storage. Free for public repositories. 50,000 CI/CD minutes per month. They are only 2,000 or 3,000 here, 2,000 here. Here 50,000. So big organizations, they use enterprise one. Okay. Oh, all this GitHub pricing. After this, you can have additional add-ons also. Okay. Then project boards. So during the application on project lifecycle, it's crucial to plan and prioritize your work. So without planning and prioritizing your work, it cannot work. Right? So with project board, you can control specific feature work. So if you're working on some feature, you can plan that accordingly, like prioritize that. What feature you have to work first. You can control specific feature work, roadmaps, release plans, etc. Project boards are made up of issues. So issues are there, then pull requests are there, then notes are there. Notes categorized as cards. You can drag and drop into your chosen columns. So there in the board, you can have issues, pull request, and notes. The cards contain relevant metadata for issues and pull request, like labels are there. You can have assignees there, the status, and open it. Now let's see if we can have an Azure board already somewhere in this. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can have this kind of Azure board. There you can have items, multiple items. You can create a new item, and then you can have issues here. You can have pull request, everything you can have here. Okay. You can have backlog items. You can view the backlog. Okay. So you have to create an issue, like, so if you are working on something, okay, then every, I think every week there is a scrum call and all. Okay. So in that scrum call, your scrum master will go through this Azure board and he will go one by one with the items. Okay. What are the items in your queue? Okay. All these things, like I have like 4 items with me. Okay, one by one. I was having 4 projects. I am having 4 items in each one of them. So he'll be looking one by one. Okay, what are the issues? If there is any pull request which is pending, so what he will do? He will review and he will approve that. Okay, so issue or item can be like this. Okay, a pull request can be there, an issue can be there, notes can be there. Okay, you can have notes also, and you can drag these things into columns. Like as of now, you can see doing. Everyone can see this, like doing, done, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you are doing something, then put it here. If you are done, then you can drag this thing to here,
Okay.
from doing to done. Okay. So directly you can drag like that.
Those labels are, we can change it from doing to in progress kind of thing, right? And those are editable, right?
Which one?
Labels, doing, done, all those things.
No. What these are separated. This is a issue or an item, right? Here. So you can drag this item from doing to done.
No, that's what doing is standard or in progress kind of thing. It can be.
Yes. It is a in progress kind of thing. Yes. In Jira, you can have like that in progress and all. Okay. In Azure boards, it's like doing, done, like this. Okay.
Jira also we have this kind of UI.
Yes.
Right?
You can have a board in Jira also. Jira also provides a board. Okay. So there is a little bit different. So we can see that Jira boards.
Abhishek, pull request you said, right, on that board.
Yes.
So can you show like pull request how it is going to come there?
Like right now I can't show because we have to work on something, right? Before I'll show you that. Why you want to learn in one day only everything. Okay.
We should
So-
have some projects actually on the boards to show it.
Yeah. Without any project, how I can show?
Yeah.
So see, in Jira you can have something like this, a board like this. See, you can see, right?
Yes.
So yeah, active sprints, whatever the active sprints are there, you can to do, in progress, code review, done. So now you see Azure board and now you see Jira. Why they use Jira, right? Jira is more, you can say, expressible. Azure board is not to that much extent, but Jira is more quite good. More features in Jira. That's why they use Jira. And no worries, they can integrate Jira with Azure DevOps. Okay, you can integrate Jira.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So you can have a nice, you can see nice presentation is there in Jira board, right? In Azure DevOps board, it was like not that much impressive.
Jira I am using actually in my current organization. I am using Jira.
Jira you are using, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here like to do, in progress, code review, done. You can drag also. Here also you can drag these things. Scrum team. Okay. So here you will be giving access to specific teams only. You cannot see all the teams and all. Okay. There are different types of project boards. User-owned project board is there. Can contain issues and pull requests from any personal rep. Then organization-wide project board can contain issues and pull requests from any repository that belongs to particular organization. Repository project board are scoped to issues and pull requests within a single repository. So there can be user-owned, there can be organization-wide project board, there can be repository-based project board. So that will contain only from a repository. Okay. To create a project board for your organization, you must an organization member. So you must be an organization member to create any project board. Until unless you are not an organization member, you cannot create. It's possible to use templates to set up new project board that will include columns and cards and tips. The templates can be automated. We'll create Azure board. Okay, we'll create an Azure board. We'll see. Okay.
Abhishek, here pull request is like we are asking somebody to review, right?
It's not like that. You can have a reviewer. Okay, you can set the reviewer over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So reviewer can be anyone. You're some senior
RPR.
developer. Yeah, some Scrum Master can be there, the reviewer.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you are working in development environment, everything is done over there. You are satisfied. You want to push the code to the or you need to work something upon some more things. Already there is a project. Now you need to pull the code again. Okay.
Okay.
So you should, or you need to push the code, right? So
Right.
to move the code from one environment to other environment, you need to create a pull request over there.
Okay. So once we create, I mean, he approves it, right? Then
Yes.
automatically it gets pushes into the other.
Yes. If once he approves, automatically it will move to the next.
Okay. In bottom or somewhere we have from and to, right? Destination kind of thing. Right. I
No.
mean,
See,
to and
no.
from.
Yeah. To and fro. Like, say you are developing something.
Okay.
So first you will have something, a pre-development branch or something like, say Pankaj is there. Okay.
Okay.
Pankaj can create his name like Pankaj Dev. He can create. So he is working on something, some special feature, some unique feature or some other. So everyone is working on like one feature. Okay.
Okay.
Now Pankaj here is working on one feature. Okay. So he can create one branch like that.
Right.
Okay. Pankaj Dev. And he's
Main branch is
working in
dev.
say dbutils.java file. There is a file
Okay.
dbutils.java.
Right.
Pankaj is working on that. Now, after everything is done, what will Pankaj do? So there is now a dev branch over here, dev branch. Now, whosoever is working in their own branch, they have to push the code to the dev branch
The
because
branch.
like Pankaj has done its work, Rohit has done its work, right? Rohit has done. Rohit is working on some other file. Okay. So any other file. Now you are working, like Jitendra is working. Now once done, what they will do? They will push these files, okay?
Yeah.
Into dev branch. Now in the dev branch, you are having each and every files from Rohit also, Pankaj also, Jitendra also. Now you have every feature over there in the dev branch. Okay, so you can say that this is pre-development branch, then there is a development branch. Now, once everything is tested here in the dev branch, then they will move to. Now, Pankaj is working on this file, but I want Pankaj, when his work is finished, he wants to push the file over here. He must create some request. And I have set, I am the Scrum Master, and I have set that in the settings, I have said that this should need some reviewer to review first, and then the code will be pushed to the dev branch. Once everything is done in dev branch, then this is called a manual intervention. Okay. So manual intervention.
That approval thing, right?
Yes. Now, see, I'm just giving an example. It's not like that from a pre-development feature branch, if you are moving the code to the dev branch, you should need some approver or something, because it's not like that. But if you are moving some code from development to stage, then definitely they will have some manual intervention in between. Because if something is missing, some feature is missing, and developer may not catch that, or tester may not catch that, right? So someone should be there who should like have a overview on that.
Overall
Right?
picture.
Yes. So that is manual intervention and nothing else. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what happens? Everything is now a CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment.
Right.
Now, if there is anything which is inline, so there are two kinds of projects, like inline development. Now, inline development means I'm developing some software for team use only. For team use. Okay, that is inline development. And there is other kind of development, like you can say external one. Okay. Or you need to a production release. So you cannot set CI/CD in the production release. Why? Because some customer is involved in that. Some client is there for whom we are doing this production release. So at each and every step, you should be there should be a reviewer here before production release, so that you should not push any kind of code which is having some error or something before production release. So there is a manual intervention boundary everywhere. Like manual intervention means, like there is a GitHub. You have worked in your code, but for pushing this code to when you push the code in the, you are working in the development environment. Okay. And there is a pre-development environment, like Pankaj is working in his own branch. Okay. So he will not need anything. Like once he works in the branch, he pushes the code, directly a pipeline will run, a pipeline will trigger to merge that code into the dev branch. Okay. Without any intervention, because no intervention is needed over there, because it's just a development branch. Okay. So there is a development environment there and it doesn't needs it. Okay. But if you are done with development environment, if you are done with stage environment or QA environment, now the code needs to be moved to the production for production release. So you have made changes in the GitHub, then you are pushing the file to the production repo. Now, before pushing the code to the production repo, there should be a manual intervention. Here, CI/CD is not involved. Every step is done manually. Okay. So manual intervention is just nothing but an approval. So once it approves, then automatically a pipeline will trigger and the code will go to the production repo or production branch. Branch is a right word. Production branch. Okay. Now, once the code is in the production branch, what will happen? A build pipeline will trigger. Build pipeline. Now, what happens once the code is pushed over here after the approval? There is a trigger involved here. Trigger. So once the code is pushed, automatically a build pipeline triggers. Now, once the build pipeline is completed, artifact is generated.
Release pipeline.
Now, I don't want any trigger over here. Now, as this is a production release, I don't want any trigger. So I'll keep it manual here. Now, again, there is a manual intervention. Without manual intervention, a release pipeline should not trigger in the production workload. So there is a release pipeline. So after the build pipeline is done, there is a trigger here. So automatically a build pipeline will run and it will generate an artifact. But once the artifact is generated and artifact is pushed to the artifact repository, okay, then there is a manual intervention. Means I'll get, once this is done, once this pipeline finished, so say I'm the Scrum Master, so I'll get an email. I'll get an email that this build is completed. So I'll get an email for review. So once I approve from here, I can directly approve from email also. Okay. but it's important for production workloads that you should go and review it before giving an approval. So once I have reviewed everything, then what I'll do before this, I'll give an approval here for release pipeline to trigger.
So I have one question.
Yes.
Once the artifact is generated and we
Mhm.
have this manual intervention, it is by intention, right? I mean,
Yes, by
sorry,
intention, because I don't want, if anything, any issue is there with the build and artifact, and I push the code, I push that artifact into the release pipeline, and then what it directly it will release to the production. Means, say whatever is running over there, like there are versions of the project, right? Versions of the application, right or wrong?
Right.
So there is this application running already, and say this is 1.0, and people are using it. But if there is any issue here with the artifact and I push this to the release pipeline, what will happen? It will replace this. It will replace this one. It will replace this one. And now version will come here, like I've released that artifact name as 1.1. But there is an issue with that code. So what will happen? People will not be able to access, right? Or there are some issues. Like
Right.
here, in first one, everything was working. Login page was working, product page was working, everything was working. But here, only login page is working, product page is not working. Means there is an issue, right, with the code. So
Right.
what you have to do? You have to revert that back. Whatever release you have done, now what you will do? You will again run a release pipeline manually with the old artifact, right? Version, old version. That's why it is important to keep the artifacts. So artifact like 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, like this. So that is why a manual intervention is needed here. So that someone may review that build and all, process and all, whether it is done without any errors or not.
Okay.
So in the manual intervention means when you run a build pipeline, you will have a raw log of that pipeline. So someone can go and check how many errors and warnings are there. So when you run some code, you have seen, right? After building the code, build succeeded. It is written like that, build succeeded. And 0 warnings. And then 0 errors. Like this you have seen, right? So in the manual intervention, they review this only. Like how many warnings are there? Are
So
these
Scrum
warnings
Master-
really need to look upon or not?
Okay.
So if there are any errors, definitely your build will not be succeeded.
Got it, sir. So the Scrum Master basically reviews the raw logs.
Yes.
Okay. Got it, sir.
After reviewing it, then only he will give an approval to push that artifact into the release pipeline.
This happens in which portal or where this exactly happens?
Pardon?
Like you get email, right, to approval and all.
So you can set that.
Once you click the link, where exactly does it take you?
Email. In which email you are asking?
Email we get link, right? As the so and so PR has been raised. Could you please approve something?
Yes. So
sort of?
basically, like I am using Outlook in my organization. So
Okay.
I'll get an alert in my Outlook.
Okay. In that link is there. Once you click, which URL does it take you to? Which portal or URL or Jira portal is it, or where exactly?
No. See, there is a build pipeline and build pipeline is completed. So there is a run. You can see, so this build pipeline is completed and there will be a link generated over here. That will be a run link, or you can say when you click on that link, it will open this. It will open this run.
That's what
Okay.
this run. Where does this sit? Like which page is this?
In
Portal.
Azure DevOps pipeline.
Okay.
So yeah,
So that means it will take you to Jira, right?
no, why it will? Don't be confused. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
in the
your
lab.
this email is there, no? This email box.
This one.
From there to right side approval is there, no? This approval. Exact release pipeline ke above.
So see, in the email, I will be having one link.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
This link is nothing but the pipeline link only.
Okay, that will be in the Azure portal, right? That link.
Yeah, that pipeline will be in the Azure portal only.
Okay,
So when I click on this link, it will redirect me to the Azure portal. Sorry, not Azure portal, DevOps portal.
Right. I mean that was my question. Which
Yes.
DevOps portal? Okay.
Yes. Got it?
Yeah, I was just linking this. I mean, how the flow, where it goes. So entirely all these things, build pipeline, artifacts, all these links are available in DevOps portal, right?
Yes.
This build succeed warnings also in the same way, right? Same place. Sorry.
Pardon?
This I mean on the left side, build warnings errors, build succeeded warnings errors. These are also in the same Azure DevOps.
When you open this link, it will open this runtime environment of that pipeline.
Okay.
Okay. And there you will see all the results of the run.
Okay.
Like, see, what are the results? Like first, your pipeline fetch the code.
Mhm.
Your pipeline fetch the code. Okay. So fetching the code. Fetching the code from Git or Azure repo. Okay. Anywhere. So then what it will do? Get the dependencies. Second step. Third step, restore the dependencies. Fourth step, build the code. Fifth step, after building, publish the artifact. Now for all these steps, now there is an agent. I told you yesterday, there will be an agent. Inside agent, there will be jobs. Inside jobs, you will be having a task.
Right.
Okay. Now all these are said there, these are tasks only.
Right. 5 tasks.
Okay. All these tasks will be having some output. All these lines, there are like 500 lines of output is there generated in that runtime environment. Okay. After this output, it will give this build succeeded, 0 or whatever the warnings it will give, like 1 warning, 2 warning, 0 warning. Okay. So after this, after all these raw logs, you will be having like this build succeeded over here or build failed. Or you can have build failed.
Similar to this Visual Studio, what we get in one of the windows, right?
Yes. Okay. You will see that runtime environment. And once you evaluate all these things, you can give an approval. Once you find it, everything is correct or not, you can give an approval based on that. As soon as you give the approval, it will trigger the release pipeline. Means you don't have to run the pipeline manually. Okay, as soon as you click on the approval, a trigger will release, initiate a release pipeline. And then your application is deployed. Got it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Abhishek.
Okay, I was showing something here. dev.azure.com. This is the DevOps portal. See, in the DevOps portal, you can start free with GitHub or start free. You can start as an individual. Okay, here Azure boards, Azure pipelines, Azure repos, Azure test plan, Azure artifact, marketplace, all these things. Azure boards like this you can have. You can have graphs and all. Okay, in Azure boards like this. You can choose the workflow. You can have the extensions. Then your Azure pipelines. See, CI/CD pipeline here is. This is the runtime environment. You can see. Hello.
Yes, sir, we are here.
Yeah. See dependencies. They are getting the dependencies, downloading it, restoring the dependencies. Each and every task it will give you like this. And once finished, you can click on that link and you will get that whole runtime environment here. Whatever is done. Pipelines like this. So these are the things. What else apart from the pipeline here? Yeah, you can have Azure repos. See, like this. Repos, pull request. All these are pull requests. You can approve. See, approvers are set here. One approver, two approvers. Approvers are set. You can see there are 3 approvers or 2 approvers. So without approval of those approvers, you cannot move ahead. You can set the security here in the for code scanning on. Then Azure test plan. See, in the test plan, you can have all the tests for your code and all. Okay, this will give you some board, some visuals. Okay, you can have visuals from the Azure test plans. All these we'll see in the when we'll perform some practicals, labs, all this artifacts. See, like this, you can have artifacts. Python files are there. Different files you can have from .NET, from every other, like see.
Okay, so can we keep it till here? I think it's time.
Pardon?
Can we keep it till here? I think it's time
Yeah,
to.
sure.
Yes.
Like so now tomorrow some more things like 10-15 minutes again we'll have some theory part and then we'll start with all the labs and all. Okay.
Okay, sir.